I think it was Tuesday, Taoiseach, in an exchange here where the Taoiseach referred to a new study by the UN Human Development Index rankings, which had Ireland in third place for quality of life. And it was calculated using three categories: health, education and income. So the statistics were life expectancy of 82 years, expected years of schooling 18.79, gross national income 55,659 and 68 cents. And there has been growth in Ireland in the quality of life since 2012. And then we come to the statistics that we get in replies to questions, and I'll take housing as an example. The statistics like 64,000 new homes had been delivered, 26,000 on site and a further 30,000 with planning permission. 75,000 families removed from consistent poverty. And of course that brings to mind the cliched phrase of statistics, the definition: lies, damn lies and statistics. But I came across another interesting definition of statistics that I think is quite relevant to my question today. And the definition is that statistics are like a bikini. What they reveal is interesting, but what they hide is vital. So statistics reveal interesting information to answer questions, but what they're hiding is the reality. And that reality, understanding it, is vital in order to direct policies and strategies. So what's hidden is the reality of life, the impact of not having a home. Whether you're in emergency accommodation, or sleeping rough, or in overcrowded, unsuitable accommodation, or indirect provision. And what's also hidden is the impact and the reality of inequality. And I just want to refer to two reports. I don't expect you to have heard of them, but they were done by ATD, Altogether in Dignity. They're called The Hidden Dimensions of Poverty and Living in the Shadows of Socio-Economic Deprivation. But they came from conversations with people who are actually living with the reality of poverty. And they talk about suffering mentally, emotionally, physically. They talk about institutional and social maltreatment, about discrimination and disempowerment. Now that should not be happening in Ireland, a country that has wealth, a relatively small population, has resources, investment and employment. And yes, it's great to celebrate coming third, but it's nothing to celebrate for those I've mentioned. And coming third can't allow us to be complacent, and I think we have to be driven to ensure that all can enjoy that quality of life that has Ireland in third place. So therefore I think the question is, I think it's vital that we consider a different ideology, different principles, a different philosophy, and actual fact to be driven by the values that direct our ODA, so that coming third applies to everybody. So there is a need for a radical shift, and of course quality of life, it does begin with a home.
Yeah, Deputy, of course any broad assessment of statistics and drawing conclusions from that will hide tragic cases. Of course they will, and inequality within certain sectors and so on. But I think it is also worth saying that statistics don't lie. And, you know, we have made extraordinary progress in this country since 2012. I think it's important to recognise that. Of course, we need to focus on the things we haven't done yet. But if you do look at CSO figures in terms of the survey on income and living conditions, and you look at the stats from 2013, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, you see genuine progress in terms of reducing poverty levels, reducing deprivation levels, increasing nominal income, reduced people in terms of numbers who are at risk of poverty. You know, that's true. All of that is true, and it's progress, and it should be recognised. We've seen huge numbers of people being taken out of the risks and pressures of being unemployed, figures falling from 15% unemployment to below 5% unemployment now. And during that period, the government continuing to increase the rates of minimum wage to try to make sure that, as the country can afford to, we want to make sure that everybody benefits from a rising tide. Which is what we have been trying to do. That does not suggest that we don't still have significant challenges. And housing is really at the heart of that, in terms of ensuring that we are facilitating enough homes being built at affordable prices for people to be able to access them, and those who can't afford to buy their own homes or rent their own properties, that the state can intervene to support them in having a home of their own. And we're doing that. We're not where we need to be yet. We need to be completing about 35,000 housing units a year in Ireland. This year we'll be at around 22,000. But we're still increasing our output at more than 25% a year at the moment, which is significant. This year, as we've said over and over again, we will add an extra 10,000 social housing units to the social housing stock. If you take my city alone, in Cork, in 2014, there was one social house under construction for Cork City Council. There are currently 1,000 on site under construction. That is the change that we're making, and that is the pace that needs to continue for the next few years to make sure that we get up to providing at least 12,000 extra social housing units a year, that we are providing thousands of affordable houses, cost rental, and increasing at each sectoral area in terms of housing output, the numbers that are being completed, so that the people that you refer to, who are at the moment in very pressurised and difficult conditions, some of them in emergency accommodation, can get into homes of their own.
Supplementary question, 1 minute, Deputy O'Sullivan.
Yeah, Taoiseach, I would always acknowledge progress, but that progress is not being applied very widely. And I'll just give one particular example. We all know Brother Kevin Crowley, the Capuchin Day Centre. Last Saturday night, he was out on O'Connell Street at the GPO with a group singing carols from about 8 o'clock until 10 o'clock. And then at 10 o'clock on Saturday night, he made his way to the event that the ushers here were organising, also a fundraising event for the Capuchin Day Centre. Now, a man in his 80s, a brother in his 80s, should not be in a position that he has to do that. And we know the numbers of people whom he's feeding every day. I think there's 600 or so who come in, 700, and about 1,500 food parcels go out every day. That should not be happening in a country that is wealthy. That's my point. Yes, there's progress being made, but it's coming from a philosophy, an ideology that doesn't take everybody into account. Yes, we have quality of life. All of us here have quality of life. We're looking forward to a good Christmas. But we have to really be directed, and the policies and strategies have to be directed towards those who are most in need. And that's not happening.
Thank you, Deputy Taoiseach.
And I absolutely accept that a core responsibility of government is to ensure that there is a safety net there for people who, for whatever reason, find themselves without a home, without income, and often with many other challenges too, from addiction to family breakup to all sorts of individual personal challenges. That is why we work with people like Brother Kevin, who's a great person, and there are many, many others like him, who are working for people who are very, very vulnerable. We are spending over €160 million a year now working with organisations to provide homeless services in better emergency accommodation, while we help them transition back into a home of their own. There are far too many people homeless in Ireland, we know that. But the way to solve this is to continue to improve the quality and supports that are available in emergency accommodation, but the core way in which this will be solved is to increase the supply significantly of social housing, affordable housing, and affordable rental. And all of those things are happening. They can't happen quick enough, but they are happening at a pace which the government will continue to prioritise.
Deputy